So that is our aim. In our business, social media, Facebook in particular, has been something that we've had to learn. You probably know that we were retired for about 15 years, and we've been back in the business the last couple of years with great excitement. Wonderful what's going on. The rally recently, as Andrew was just saying, extraordinary. This company never ceases to amaze. John, in our business, has taken on more of the Facebook learning curve, if you like, than I have. But I obviously appreciate that the Facebook inner circle and various things that Neil and Susanna have provided for us has encouraged and inspired us to put our own Facebook page up for our own immediate group, and therefore as a medium for training, connecting, exchanging ideas, quite extraordinary, and it is using it to our advantage is the whole point, isn't it? As well as using it for promoting business and product. So what I'd like to do is hand you over to John to start with, to run through some simple stuff. We appreciate that you may all be Facebook savvy, but if we just touch base on basics, so that if anybody isn't, particularly with a Facebook business page, that we just cover the basics in the first sort of 5 or 10 minutes.
Well, firstly, I don't know how many of you have got a Facebook business page. I put one up for our own business. It's not that, it's actually quite easy to do. I would suggest that if you do that, that you are very careful about who you invite to have a look at it. It takes a while to build up your contacts, certainly, and certainly to get likes to your business page. I've used it with varying kind of success. I actually put up posts every morning around about 7 o'clock because Facebook research shows that people look at adverts and information between 7 and 8 before they go into work. After that, they tend to get lost in the rush of everything else that comes through as well. And you can also put posts up around about 7 o'clock in the evening also. But from my point of view, what I've done, I get less interest in the evening posts than I do in the morning. One thing I would say before you actually do anything regarding Facebook adverts is to go to Forever Knowledge and look at the new compliance videos. They are short and sweet, but they are very to the point. They tell you exactly what not to do and what you can do. And also, the message that comes across from those product videos is that if you want to put up anything to do with product, don't use anything that's not in the product manual or in product FLP's own literature. In other words, you cannot now put up claims or anything that can be misled in terms of it may be suggesting that if you sell a product to somebody that is going to do X, Y, and Z. In other words, a propolis cream, you can't tell them that, for example, that it's been used by Great Ormond Street Hospital. You can't tell them that if they take it, it'll help them with their eczema, whatever. That's a medical claim. There's quite a lot on the videos about these those kind of things, by the way. So I don't need to sit here tonight telling you about what's in them, but I would suggest you go and look through. There are 4 or 5 which are really worth looking at. The other ones are a little bit more broadly based, but particularly the compliance ones regarding Facebook and products and business and what you can and cannot do are very, very clear, and make sure you have a good look. Pam and I had looked through them all recently. I used to use all sorts of images of product, but again, they do suggest that you don't put anything up other than an FLP UK product picture. So it's a matter of mounting. What I actually do is I go through everything that's live on Forever Knowledge, etc., and from messages that come through Twitter and through the FLP UK Facebook page, and anything that I think I can use, I save it, and I can. It's very easy to save pictures from those, and then to use save the messages that come, and put them in on your own page. That's probably as much as you really ought to be doing on a business page. Having said that, we do quite well from our business page on product. Not so well doing on registering people or getting people involved in the business at the moment. Although we've got quite one or two people who are taking over and having a look. But if you're going to use adverts, again, on Forever Knowledge, the ideas of the adverts you should and should use, and it also says what you shouldn't use.
I think what's happened, John's making a very good point. What's happened with all the compliance regulations is the company have really stepped up, haven't they, to help us and put so much more on so very rapidly. I know they're working unbelievably hard at head office so that we don't have to make this up. It goes back to the concept, the whole wheel, the cycle about how we build a business. Let's not reinvent the wheel. If in any doubt, just go on Forever Knowledge and use whatever it is that they have put up there for us.
That goes in line with using the company videos and things like that. Yeah. We've got our own recruitment video, which we've had okayed by the compliance department in the head office. So we use that as a 2.5 minute, like a business card type of video. But
then Aidan O'Hare's put up a 6-minute video that's on Forever Knowledge, which is also excellent.
Yeah, it is
so good. That for people who don't have access to a 2 or 3 minute video that they've maybe done themselves and had confirmed by head office is okay, then again, Aidan has done it for us. So there's all sorts of tools. They're all there, and we encourage everybody to use the tools.
Yeah.
Let's not try and make it up for ourselves. We really don't need to do that anymore.
The thing that people will take, be attracted to on your business page are not necessarily adverts about the business or the products as much, but they will take notice of your lifestyle photos and your lifestyle information that you're putting up. People don't want to have adverts, etc., rammed down their throats all the time because we all know, don't we? There's a mountain of adverts that come through Facebook, and you need also to think about the tone of your own messages in terms of the kind of things you're saying, and that really does need to follow what FLP UK actually says. Again, have a look at the videos.
Yeah, I think it's fair to say, isn't it, that if you're on your own Facebook page, that it's self-evident that pictures should be positive, language should be positive, any negative comments or any negative feelings don't have a place on Facebook.
And in being positive, that they are not over stating what actually is on offer with the business, for example, or anything else to do with the products.
Yes, John's making a very good point. Because, we've got, I hope you've all picked up on, for our own group, we put a PowerPoint presentation up every week, and there's week 6 was up on the inner circle, our PowerPoints that cover the sort of basic training of Facebook that we do. I think at this point it might be useful to mention, and it's not a negative, all right, it's just a fact, that there has been Facebook social media behaviour that has produced 33 pages of negative comment on NetMums. I don't know whether you're aware of it. If you're that generation, you may well be. But I had a look at it the other day because it was brought to my attention, and it was interesting. All right, it's interesting. All it says, 33 pages of it, is that there have been a small group of people who have presented FLP to people in a exaggerated and pressurized or pushy way. I don't like the word pushy. This business is so good. There is absolutely no way we need to be pushy with it. We may feel as if mentioning the business comes across, we don't want to be pushy. That's different, all right? But the comments made on NetMums, if you haven't seen them, are basically young people, a few of them in our company, who have chosen to ram this business into people's faces with hyperbolic language, all right, I would encourage you never to use the words amazing opportunity, right? Wonderful. Let's look at the language we use, because the more we ventilate it and exaggerate it, the more we make ourselves vulnerable, if you like, to the negative press about MLM that still exists a little bit in some quarters.
That's why it's important to look at the company videos that are offered for us in order to advertise products, etc., so that we all are singing from the same song sheet about what FLP does and the products do, and they're not overstated in any way or form.
Yeah.
They're good. I mean, if you look at what the company's producing at the moment, it is phenomenal.
Yeah.
The standard of the videos they allow us to use, or they put together for us to use on the Forever Knowledge websites and for use on social media, they are astonishingly good. We don't need to overstate what FLP does. Just let the tools speak for themselves is what I feel about it.
And replicate the language. So, for example, when we're talking to new people, I mean, we've been in the business 22 years, so we are working cold market all the time, predominantly. And we talk language like, this is a good, solid business. This is a good opportunity. This can help you generate sensible income. We're not talking amazing opportunity, extraordinary incomes. We know that some people in the last few years have generated extraordinary incomes. But if we, again, it's vital, isn't it, that when we go to Success Express days and we look at what's going on, that we look at what is normal and what most people see themselves achieving. I'm sure that there are mechanisms where people can register hundreds of people, etc. But I am interested in some of the language I hear at our local BP and some of the people who now approach me to have a cup of coffee and have a chat, because the mantra that's coming down their groups is recruit, recruit, recruit. Now that is, I'm going to be very opinionated here, and you can happily disagree with this, all right? But my view is that is old-fashioned networking, and that is not what we do, all right? Our business is not about recruit, recruit, recruit. Yes, we listen to people. We listen to whether our products may benefit them. We listen to whether our marketing plan and this whole business concept may benefit them financially. But we're not going out there to willy-nilly recruit, 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 because that is old-fashioned networking, and I think that's what's given our industry in the past quite unfortunate name, okay? And I think we are better than that. And in our particular group in particular, where I think we are driven by core values, integrity, honesty, loyalty, there are all sorts of things, the truth, that we value other people, and we have a genuine desire to understand how this business might help people and help them to recognize it exists by saying the good old-fashioned stuff, have you ever come across Forever Living? Often now, we're in Milton Keynes, all right, and I'm still meeting people who've never heard of us, even though the regional centre is 10 minutes down the road. A bit like Scottsdale in Phoenix, people around the corner, the story goes, and it's true, I've never heard of it, even though head office is around the corner. But the key thing is, sometimes I do say, you must have heard of FLP, and sometimes it's yes, and sometimes it's no. So have you heard of FLP? Would it help if I shared with you what I do? Those sort of sensible statements invite someone to say they'd like to hear more. If it's a product, because someone has a condition, with all the compliance that we are now experiencing, it is simply to say, have you ever come across aloe vera? Have you ever come across bee propolis? The answer is no. Can I tell you more? And then we do have to be careful about what we say. However, there is a lot of evidence and there is a lot of research, and we can be very sensible. And again, Louise Riley is doing the most amazing trainings. bless her, and the company are doing an awful lot as well. And as long as we keep up to speed with what's going on with Forever Knowledge, I would almost recommend that half an hour a day is checking out what's new, especially with the global rally having just been, so that we are relaxed and confident that we are saying the right things in the right way, and again, it is to the right people, because
and that goes into social media as well, because if you turn yourself into a Facebook listener, i.e. you're looking at people's posts and you're perhaps putting a reply here and there, just hoping, looking for any indication that somebody's in need of some, either a product or a business, is to then just take it off of Facebook and just go personal message and just say, I've just noticed in that you just posted, etc. Did you mean that you were hoping to find something different to do in your life, or it could be something? So I had one recently, which was somebody was saying they wanted to change their car. So I immediately put up a message and said, well, just a messenger message rather than a Facebook message saying, did you mean that? Because I've got something that you might like to want to look at. That's all.
Interesting article in the Observer today about Facebook, very derogatory article about Facebook and the covert power which Facebook is exerting. I've got no idea about that. What was interesting about what John was saying about Messenger, Facebook apparently realised that people were worried about the public domain of Facebook, and that's why they created Messenger, so that people could continue to use Facebook platform, but in a more private way. As John says, once you get some level of interest, to switch to the Messenger, where the messages are then private, I think is very important. Yeah. The other thing which John is very good at is being patient with Facebook. So if we may share our stories about, we've been to Australia for 3 weeks. We've been back now a while.
2 weeks.
2 or 3 weeks.
2 to 3 weeks, yeah.
John had been working on Facebook, had made some contacts in Australia over a few months, and ultimately it was arranged that we would meet one lady when we got there, which we did. We met her, we had a lovely leisurely lunch with her, very interesting woman. We exchanged ideas. Potentially Facebook, FLP, I doubt it. However, it was very pleasant to meet her. We met more on a coaching platform than necessarily health and nutrition. So that was interesting. However, what we did do when we were travelling around was we went and had a cup of coffee in a beautiful cafe on Kangaroo Island that had an art gallery there. And the first thing that the lady, Coralie, behind the counter said that about the artwork was that the lady had MS and she had sadly died, but her niece was collecting the art that she had produced in her lifetime and was now promoting it, and all the money was going to research into MS. We got chatting. To cut a long story short, they were in a small network marketing company in Australia selling cosmetics. She was aware of the industry. She offered me her card and asked for mine when I said we were also in health and nutrition. Her sponsor is 73 years of age and has given her no help at all. We spoke about the fact we were in England, how long we've been in the business and the incomes that we were generating worldwide, and that if she felt that they would wish to review network marketing as an industry with a different company, that we would be actively able to help them, because they had 2 Harley Davidsons and they had created an extraordinary place where they were, but they would far rather spend their lives traveling. So we picked up a massive amount of information, and the aim of this story is to share with you that face-to-face versus Facebook, it's a balance. We have Facebook as an interesting add-on.
It is, but then from here onwards, with them, obviously with them being in Australia, is that we're using social media and
to connect,
to keep connected.
Yeah. So it's a case of using it appropriately, but not relying on it totally. And I know that there are people in our business who've built their business exclusively using Facebook. I admire them hugely. But for people in our world, and I'm sure there are a lot more people like us who are completely bemused about how they've done that, let us never dismiss the face-to-face, the pick up the phone, the emails, the normal methods. Andrew, can I bring you in at this point, if I can unmute you? Because Andrew was talking about a book on the use of Facebook, which we'd love him to share with you.
He's right at the top there.
Everybody, yeah, I'm just feeling my way with this just because of my generation, I guess, and several of us in the same boat.
Yeah.
Youngsters are on a different planet. But I picked up a book some time ago, and I actually started reading it more seriously because of a report that people have been using it very successfully. And it's, as you say, I mean, the basic thing is the building of relationships. And the speed you can do it on Facebook is quicker, but then you revert to face-to-face. So it's a mixture of the two, needs to be a mixture of the two things. But I just held the book up. And you may have already seen this on Barry's stall. It's Network Marketing for Facebook by Jim Lupkin and Brian Carter. So I'll put that onto in the circle anyway, so you can see it. But it's a very, very thorough break. Some of you will know some of the stuff in it, and then it goes off into other things which are absolutely fascinating. I'm actually only more than halfway through, but learning all the time with that, and of course making notes as well, because I need to actually apply it. But it seems to me that the growth we're seeing is largely because of people using social media to trawl through bigger numbers, and that numbers game has always been a challenge. You know, picking up the phone used to be quite invasive. Now we've got a lovely way of leaving messages, and it's so much more civilized in that way.
It can be, yeah. Yeah, no, thank you very much for that, Andrew. And I mean, I think our message is it's a balance. Let's not tip it over into just Facebook use. We have a vast amount to learn with Facebook. I mean, another story that we have is that John has connected with a music teacher in Uganda. And there has been 3 attempts at a Skype call where he connects with her and takes her through some of the information that is available on the Ugandan FLP site. Each time she has messaged, so that's positive, she's messaged that she's working late because music teaching is only one of her jobs. And so yet again, she has not been there at 5 o'clock when the appointment was arranged. Now, again, even with Facebook, like years ago, we'd turn up at a hotel for a meeting and there would be no shows. Everybody who's been in the business has had no shows. It's no different on Facebook and Skype. But again, it is patience. It's not disappearing down the negative, what's going on. It is disappointing. We're human. It is disappointing. But rather than dismiss it or think negatively about the person, it is staying positive about there's got to be a good reason why they haven't been able to make the call, and sending a positive message saying, sorry to miss you, when is a better time. She's got videos that she can watch now because this is the 3rd time this has happened, and we very much hope she will watch them, and that there will be a meeting at some stage. And I think the other biggest message, isn't it, which we are constantly told, is that I like the Wes Linden stuff. We're putting up a tip a day from the Wes Linden book, 79 tips. I've got it here somewhere. Here we go. If you haven't got this one, this is another great one. And we are sharing it with our group on a daily basis. And again, his message is very much a case of have a not now book. So if someone says no, it's not, as we say, it's not no forever, it's saying no, not now, and talks about having a not now book and putting these people into the book and finding a way where it's appropriate to continue to send them either, again, it's all available, the online Forever magazine on a regular basis, or a friendly, hi, how are you? The major message, I think, with Facebook, as with anything, I was talking to one of my young downline today about exploring her Who You Know list a little bit more courageously. And what she was talking about was that, as often is said in that generation, it doesn't feel natural to pick up the phone. I'm beginning to think maybe we need to encourage young people to pick up the phone. And it's not a case of picking up the phone to somebody that you haven't seen for years and within 2 seconds blurting out that you have this amazing business opportunity, is it? It's a case of, as with Facebook, building relationships and showing somebody that you want to know them for who they are.
If anything, I think that actually trying to build a relationship with people on Facebook is a lot harder because you can't see them. You don't always have a lot of time to talk. You're just sending a quick reply to a post they put up, and it takes a lot longer to do that than it is to just speak to somebody in a Tesco's. When you bump into somebody in a Tesco's and you can just have a quick chat about things and you can start to feel a little bit of rapport building.
Yeah.
I
mean, for example, we were in Milton Keynes when we got back from Australia and suddenly realised that the Gruffalo experience was in the Milton Keynes main area at St Louis, and our granddaughter absolutely adores Gruffalo. So we went to speak to a young man who happened to be one of the actors, and said, how long is this on for, etc., etc. It turns out that Matthew's a young actor. He works in a restaurant to make ends meet, but what he wants to do is build his career as an actor. It was very straightforward within minutes to give him my card and say, you really need to look at this. When we booked to go back with our granddaughter a few days later, I had with me 1 or 2 brochures that I left with him that he could look at. Face to face, in many ways, if you're listening to people, it's infinitely quicker, isn't it, to build a rapport that gives you an opportunity to share the business opportunity with people. Face to face may take longer, but I respect the fact that Andrew sharing this book, there may well be a lot of tips and hints about how to do that quicker on Facebook. What my reservations is the negative press that it's got on right now about someone connecting on Facebook purely for the purpose of promoting their business. And I think I don't care whether it's Facebook, face-to-face, on the phone, I don't care where we are contacting people, whether it's brand new people or whether it's people we've known for years that we haven't spoken to for whatever. I think if we do not operate with integrity and core values, such that we are interested in you as a human being and we want to know you and either get to know you or regenerate the friendship we once had or the relationship we once had, and it's sussed very quickly. And people will think, hang on a minute, she wasn't interested in me, she's more interested in her and what I might do for her business. And that's where I think the negativity comes. It's a bit like going into a shop, isn't it, and being sold to by someone who's very clever on impulse. And when somebody walks away with an impulse buy that they didn't intend to and they were sold to, then they won't buy again in a hurry. I think that's what we need to be cautious of. Okay, what we'd love to hear is anybody else's experiences, their knowledge, their input, their wisdom. Liselott, can I unmute you? What would you like to add to this debate?
Hi, yeah, you can unmute me. Can you hear me there? Yes.
Hi.
I've been using Facebook a fair bit over the years, and I really like it in a way to get to know people. I think, to be honest, I think Liz and Andrew is still not muted, so we can hear them. So maybe they can mute themselves, actually. Sorry, just heard something going on. But yeah, I totally agree with you in terms that it's so important to actually build those relationships, and that it's important to use Facebook just like you do in real life. You get to know someone, you build a relationship, and then you see if you can offer them the business or not. Because if you just go in and you become fools, then it doesn't work well at all. I mean, I've made a lot of friends and a lot of local friends by getting to know them through Facebook. And sure, the underlying reason that I've started doing this is because I want to get to know more people so that I can hopefully bring them into my team. But once I get to know them and I find that they're not going to be good for my team, they still become good people to have around. And I think since I've started looking at it and at much more, I'm just making some new friends, and then I'll see if they're going to be good for my business. It's becoming a lot easier because I'm not putting so much pressure on myself to invite them to the business immediately. But it's also becoming more efficient because I get to know them so well, and then I say, well, actually, I wanted to get to know you before I said this, but I think it would be really good fun to work together. And this is what I got to offer. I think this might be something you've been looking for. And then they take it a bit better as well, as if you just speak to them like three quick, on chat kind of thing, and then they go, hey, I got this great business. So it is just like real life. It's all about building relationships. And I think on your Facebook feed, on the daily feed, it's that thing of showing people your life and showing people what you're up to, instead of plastering, these products are excellent and come and buy the cream, just telling people what you're up to. And then people get really curious. I go through stages of thinking no one's watching what I'm doing. And then I bump into my friends at the local supermarket or whatever, and they go, oh, you went to that? Was it really 5,000 people at that event you went to the other weekend? And how was that? And I could see that. And wow, can you tell me more about it? So people are watching and people are getting very curious. And I really like that. So it's much more about building the curiosity and showing people what I do.
Yeah. Yes, I agree completely. And in many ways, we've got... the other advantage, I think, is that we have people 2-3 generations deep in our business, some of them reasonably new, not doing a great deal, as happens, building confidence, and to be able to comment on their Facebook pages. I'm learning, again, I'm very novice at this, but to comment about what they're doing. For example, one of them went to a Tony Robbins event recently. Interesting. And so how did she find that? So that, again, as Liselott's saying, it's showing an interest in people. It's not a case of using social media and Facebook stuff from a business perspective, again, to do what you shouldn't do either. Face to face is, what are you doing in your business? Guarding against the message coming across that the only reason you're contacting them on Facebook is to know how many case credits they've done that month. It is genuinely showing an interest in people and building relationships. I think that is so vital, and it does facilitate that happening more easily. I met someone on Facebook, and we decided to meet the other day about the .com, for example, because she raises money for children's charities. She was advertising an event once the Saturday night, which we couldn't attend. It was a musical evening to raise money for a children's hospice. And I had messaged her on Facebook saying, I'm sorry we can't get to the Saturday evening, but I use my business to raise money. How can I help? And we agreed to meet. Within the first, she's a Zumba dance teacher. And within the first few minutes of meeting, she mentioned she was drinking the Freedom because I talked about FLP. She obviously knew about it. She'd been buying the Freedom for some time from somebody who went to her group, all right? And the other thing I'm concerned about with Facebook is people moving in and just stealing people that other people have been gently talking to for a while. We often build, as Lisa Lott says, we often build relationships. It takes 2 or 3 months maybe to register someone. John's just registered a phenomenal woman. He's been speaking to her for almost a year, okay? And I think the important thing is that we're going to do a training with our own group. I'm going to talk to Suzanne when she comes back as well about how do we speak with people when we're prospecting them, either on Facebook or face-to-face, and give them an understanding that when they look to be sponsored, that is a binding relationship, and that does have a financial implication in terms of how the marketing plan operates. Because we've had an experience in our group recently where wonderful young distributor speaking to her best mate, had been speaking to her gently for a while, arranged to meet her to speak more about the business and register her, to discover the day after the text messages that were arranging the lunch date, the youngster was registered by somebody else. They're both devastated, very unfortunate.
She just didn't realise that by registering
with somebody else
that she wasn't actually registering
with her best friend. Yeah, that she could work.
She just thought she was registering with FLP, not with the
somebody
FBO,
specific.
Yeah.
So again, what I find, whether it's Facebook, face-to-face, whatever, Facebook perhaps even more so, that it is important to very clearly, appropriately help people understand maybe the nature of what we do. Because, if for example, John worked for Marks and Spencer's and there was a vacancy and he said to me, Pam, there's a great job going in Marks and Spencer's, why don't you apply? If I were to apply for that job, I would be registering with Marks and Spencer's. Now, I know some companies actually, not promote, encourage referrals and give £100, £200 as a one-off fee or a recommendation that is successful. But I'm not sure M&S do that. But I would be registering, technically, I would feel I was registering with M&S, as I would be. Now, I know for a fact that people who've joined our business in the past, when they registered, felt they were registering with FLP in the first instance, and it only became clear later that there was a particular group that they were registering with, a particular person that they were registering with, and that there was financial implications for that. Now, what I believe in our group is that we are generous in our knowledge and our experience, and we do work to a certain extent cross-line where it's appropriate. It's not that we are a silo that refuse to share our knowledge and experience with other groups. However, that has to be tempered, doesn't it, with the amount of time and energy you give to somebody else's group. However, helping people to realise when they're sponsored that they choose their sponsor carefully is the first thing, and that you are the person who would like to sponsor them for these reasons, I think is becoming more apparent, because Facebook as a medium has opened up a bit of a can of worms in terms of people meeting on Facebook where they have already perhaps purchased product, they've even registered with a Clean 9, and because they're not assistant supervisors, they are able to be spoken to by other people and then taken away to register inappropriately elsewhere. What I said to this particular person was, knowing that she had been buying product from some time from a woman who came to her group, her class, was go back and talk to her. And we spoke a little bit about the benefits. Clearly, the young woman who was selling her product had been looking to encourage her to look at the business. And it was, to my experienced eye, clearly a case of it wasn't the right time up until now. And we spoke. it would have been very straightforward for me to say, let me register you. I've been in the business 22 years and I can help you build a decent income. And that felt so inappropriate and unethical that you may think I'm wrong, you may think I'm foolish to say, go back to the person who's been selling you product or been talking to you. But if she chooses to register with her, absolutely fine with me. I would not wish to sweep somebody away from somebody who has innocently been taking their time with somebody and maybe just not said the right thing at the right moment or not at the right time. So again, Facebook, it's an incredible resource, a wonderful place to meet people and build business. But let's continue to do it in the way that our business, our group does it, which is ethically. There's so much business out there, isn't there? That there doesn't need to be this fear of loss. This, you speak to somebody and you sign them up immediately. I'm looking at more and more the fact that we've been in the business for such a long time. I've almost forgotten what it's like at the very beginning. But, I went to a meeting. Somebody spoke to me. Our sponsor spoke to me at a time when I was needing to find a different way to generate an income because I knew my school was shutting. So it was the right time. We met in a pub outside Stony Stratford before going to the meeting, and he regaled me with his divorce proceedings. That was my one-to-one. Okay, we went to the meeting. I saw Sue and Alan Matthewman, Pete and Linda Woods. I walked into the meeting. I remember coming up the stairs, and as the room emerged, as I came up the stairs, I saw these people, and I thought, they look like me. This is okay. Even though I was fairly reasonably out of my comfort zone, I liked the business presentation. I registered immediately with John's credit card and bought a box. So for me, it was the right time. No, nothing was said to me prior to the meeting that even remotely represented a one-to-one, but I still joined. And I think that's the key, isn't it? That it is quality as well as a little bit of quantity, but a reasonably solid belief that it's catching people in the right moment for them. And it is then very straightforward. And that all boils down to our listening skills.
And so on social media, then it's a matter of looking at the messages that people are putting out and using your ears, like your eyes, like they're your ears, and picking the right moment to just do an off a Facebook message, something which is appropriate and just very open.
Yeah. Anybody else? I mean, Sally, can I unmute you? Sally, anything that you'd like to add to what we're chatting about tonight?
I think exactly everything you said, I totally agree with. And it can be a long process, I think, as you said. It isn't something overnight. I think a lot of people I speak to, I sort of put a ballpark on about 12 weeks. If I meet somebody who is even a good prospect, and they say, oh, yes, I'm quite interested. I can really imagine it's 12 weeks until they're beginning to think about buying a box or doing anything like that. And I think it is just to be patient and not to worry about competition. It's like bed companies. I mean, how many bed shops do we see? And if you ask somebody whether they have a bed, everybody has a bed, but everybody always needs more beds. And I think that's a great scenario to talk to people when they say, this area is saturated or everybody in my village is doing it. It is the person, it is getting to know them, and at the end of the day, it is just making friends.
Yes.
And that's all we do.
Yeah. Agree completely. In fact, it's interesting in terms of your 3-month period of Facebook. In our business of 22 years, we've always found in relationship building outside of our warm list that in the cold market, it's taken 3 months that we've been in a situation. I jumped on the back end of a course years ago to study, and it was 3 months after the first term of studying that I was starting to talk to people about the potential of the business or the product. And I agree, it's as Lisa Lott was saying, it's no different on Facebook. It's just that it's a different medium, isn't it? And we shouldn't be rushing necessarily, and not comparing, because there are some extraordinary incomes that have been developed in extraordinary, I use the word realistically, extraordinary time, and that we bubble wrap ourselves in our own businesses and we don't compare. It's essential to enjoy what we do, isn't it? Keep going. Get familiar with Facebook. It is a new medium. It is extremely valuable in many ways, but not to feel pressured. We can still build a massive business over time without ever approaching Facebook. I'm proof of that. I say John is the Facebook person in our business. Both are equally valid, and it's not an either or, it's an and both. I do feel that there may be young people joining the business who are less happy talking face to face and using the phone because of Facebook, because they've grown up with it and they have lived in this virtual world. And again, to be aware, to help them realize that with training and encouragement and support, that they can actually go out and speak to people out and about as well. We meet people every day, literally every day. And we have a card that we can give people, or we can connect up on Facebook. But there are people out there all the time, if we're listening. And as John says, and Sally the same, Lisa Lott, on Facebook, what John has learned is early morning and later on in the afternoon is when people later in the evening when people maybe have the time to look at Facebook, and therefore there are certainly things to learn about when you post, what you post, but the fundamental stuff is being genuine. And if we're not showing genuine interest in people, whether it's in the real or the virtual world, we will be sussed pretty quickly, and the impact of that is not positive. So how do we deal with? Again, it's not a negative; it is a positive, because somebody not in our group asked me to have a coffee, and we chatted, and he had been talking to his neighbours who had been very positive about registering with the company. They went away and did some research looking on the internet, and they came back to him saying, we've looked at the internet and there's such a negative dialogue going on about the industry, the company, whatever, that we've changed our minds. And it blew him completely, all right? So let's look at dealing with objections, because it's no different. And one of the great little scenarios, I don't like scripts on the whole. However, it is useful to learn things, I believe, that are appropriate. It's like technology. I will learn it if it's useful. So Skype, Fuse, brilliant. So I'm learning it. But let's look at the feel, felt, found script that they talk about with objections. And it's, I can understand how you feel. I felt the same when I saw some comments about Forever Living on the internet or NetMums. But what I know, all right, it's not what I found. We need to change the script slightly. Is what I know is that this company has been going for 38 years, is cash rich and debt free. It has the Investors in People Gold Award for training, and we are members of the DSA. Bob Parker has not only been the chair of the board, but has sat permanently on the board for many years. And although there may be people for whom this business hasn't worked, right, I would even be honest, I'm always honest, there may be people who have not been approached appropriately. I'm sorry for that, because this is such a good business that I believe there is something here for everybody. It can't be for everybody, but this is a good company. And that's how to deal with anything that you might meet, because there is stuff out there, unfortunately, that's developed over the last 2 years, and we knew it was coming because of the use of Facebook. Inevitably, isn't there? It's a bit like dynamite. You know the story about dynamite, don't you? About Nobel, that he read his own obituary. if I remember correctly, it was his brother who died. But in Paris, there was an obituary about him saying that he had invented dynamite and that his legacy was it blew people up, right? And hence the instigation of the Nobel Prize, because Nobel had the opportunity to leave a better legacy. So there's going to be negative press wherever we go, and there's going to be the odd few who maybe operate slightly differently to the majority. But Forever Living is the most extraordinary company. The latest global rally has shown that. The generosity of this company is stunning, absolutely stunning, and it is so rock solid that if we know what we've got our hands on and continue to connect with evenings like this, Success Express and trainings, then if we do meet people who have more recently potentially stumbled into something on the internet or Facebook or social media platforms which have negative comments, that we can calmly and confidently state the truth. Now, if they don't want to hear it, or it still doesn't convince them, so what? I'm not into convincing people. I don't need to. It is a case of have a nice life next, in the nicest possible way. So I hope that helps if you've had any unfortunate comments about FLP, to appreciate that just give the simple facts about this company. They speak for themselves. I genuinely believe Rex Moulton set out to make us the world leaders, not just in the quality of our product, but in the quality of our marketing plan. And I know for a fact after 22 years that he has achieved that. We are some of the highest paid networkers in the world, and there are very few companies that operate with the integrity that FLP does, and we should be very grateful for that. It's almost time to finish. If you have any questions or you want any comments, please put it up on chat in the last few minutes. But may I use the last few minutes to invite everybody to consider what we can do for Susanna and Neil, all right? I trust that Neil, I believe, will win the police commissioner's vote. How wonderful that Forever Living, for us, Forever Living is a financial vehicle for us to live our real lives, which is looking after our grandchildren, building business, going to the gym, training ex-military people to work with disengaged teenagers. We have a variety of things. In fact, I'm also thinking of writing another book. It is our financial vehicle. And for Susanna and Neil in particular, a financial vehicle for him to become who he needs to be, he wants to be, which is perhaps the next police commissioner for their area. How wonderful is that? However, the next Eagle Manager retreat, Susanna has shared with us, is this cruise from Bordeaux, is it, through to Rome?
Barcelona.
Barcelona to Rome. How amazing is that? Now, they're Sapphire managers. How many Eagle managers do they need to qualify for this? They need 6. Okay? They've got 9 lines in their business at least. They need 6 of us to stand up and do Eagle Manager. All right. Now, we have the double bind that we are one-off soaring. Currently, as senior managers, we need to support one of our lines to do Eagle Manager, for us to do Eagle Manager. However, we are keen to obviously support somebody to become a manager. So our catch-22 is when we become soaring, we need 3 lines to do Eagle Manager. We will be sitting down and discussing this at length. However, could we, while they're not online, can we produce 6 lines who are going to go hell for leather on the 1st of May to help them qualify? Because I think that's one of the greatest gifts we could give them, isn't it?
Absolutely.
For all that they've done to help us. So if you're in for it, then let's message each other and see what we can do to create the Susanna and Neil Eagle Manager qualification with them as a commitment. Anyway, that's a little piece aside. if there's nothing else, I trust we have shared the ins and outs of Facebook and social media, not so much the technicalities, because I'm sure that the majority of you are familiar, more so than me, and that can be dealt with. Neil, and I'm sure we'll have a lot to share. His campaign has clearly been extremely successful, and when he's had a chance to take breath, if we can encourage him to share with us more about the way he's run his social media campaign, I'm sure that will also enrich what we're doing. But thank you again to Andrew for the network marketing book. It will be something that we will be purchasing and reading. Thank you so much for that. And thank you very much for your time this evening. Next week, we're on again. And in our group, our week will be being a leader. And there's lots of stuff that we can talk about and share with you and also hear from you. So have a fantastic week. Any questions that have emerged from tonight, don't hesitate to send on Inner Circle or email us, and we'll willingly help you as much as we possibly can. But enjoy this week, have a great time, and we look forward to connecting up again next week. Bye, guys.
Bye.